Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to July's wrap-up video. So every month we talk about all of the films, TV shows and books that I've watched/read during the month. This is the month of July. I cannot believe that we are at the end of July, by the way. This year seems to be flying by. Anyone else think so? Let's start as always with movies, and you'll be surprised to know that I've watched quite a few movies. This is going to be quite a long wrap-up. So the first movie that I watched is a rewatch. I love it so much. It is The Birdcage with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, as well as lots of other cast members, a standout cast in The Birdcage, really. I adore The Birdcage. I'm sure I've spoken about it on this channel before. It is a remake of a French film, I believe, which I haven't watched. And it's just, I don't know why, but I just adore that film so much. So the brief premise of The Birdcage is Robin Williams' character and Nathan Lane's character are a gay couple, and their son is marrying into a very conservative family. So the conservative family want to come for dinner to meet the in-laws, of course, and they have to play it straight, as it were. And there's so much more to it than that. And it's just such a funny, beautiful, heartwarming film. There's a couple of big ones we need to talk about. I will do the smaller ones first and then we'll get back to it. My list is over there as always. So I watched Instadoc's Alex Murdaugh's Unconvicted, and yeah, I don't know what to say about that. So Instadocs, I'm guessing you need to know more about the case. I knew nothing about the Alex Murdaugh case at all. This documentary was only half an hour and it was absolutely pointless if you knew nothing about the case. I'm wondering if it was a better documentary if you already knew about the case, but the thing with documentaries, and I said this last month, funny enough, I don't think that you should have to have prior knowledge, or even follow-up knowledge in some cases, to be able to sit down and enjoy a documentary. If the documentary doesn't even give you 5 minutes of what the case is about and where we're going from there, then in my opinion, it hasn't done its job. And this documentary didn't even tell you exactly what the case was and what was going on. It was just talking about the trial. And what's the point of talking about the trial when I don't know about the case? I don't know about the crime. I don't know about the person. So I think this documentary was made as a follow-up if you already had the information. I didn't. That wasn't made clear, or I wouldn't have wasted half an hour watching it. So yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointment this month. Speaking of documentaries, we have another one to talk about, A Toxic Love Story, again on Netflix. And my goodness, what a heck of a ride that was. Netflix really do know how to make those shock documentaries, don't they? And we love them, we do. Again, I find it so difficult to talk about real world cases because this is people's lives, it really is. But this documentary, I can't even tell you what it's about because it will spoil it. I'm trying to come up with a spoiler-free way of explaining A Toxic Love Story, and I can't. I just can't. And the whole way through, my mind was blown, it was being changed, I was audibly gasping, like, this documentary blew my mind, and the direction that it went in was absolutely unhinged and insane. Now let's get on to the big ones, the movies. I finally watched, for the first time in July 2026, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So you've got The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. What do I say about The Lord of the Rings? Well, first of all, they're far too blooming long. I do not have, it's funny, I have the attention span to sit and read a book for hours, and I'll look up and it's been 3 hours and I have no idea that I've been sat there for 3 hours because I'm so consumed in what I'm reading. I can do that. I can play a video game for hours on end and not get bored, and I'm so consumed with what I'm doing and I don't think about the time. Films, there's something about a film that I cannot sit, and my attention span for films is very short, and that's my fault. I struggled through Avatar as an example, and part of that was because it was so long. I do not deal well with long films, but I gave them a go. Everybody told me that I would absolutely fall in love with them, and unfortunately that wasn't quite the case. So I think if I'd have had the nostalgia of having anything to do with Lord of the Rings as a child, so I've never read the books, of course I hadn't seen the films, if I'd have had that nostalgia, then maybe I would have loved these films more. As it is, I think they were good. I don't think they were great. Would I watch them again? No. Has it given me an interest to read the books? Yes, it has. I think that the books will have a lot more context. I think because the films were so long and you've got a standout cast of characters, the pacing to me was all over the place. And I did the silly thing and I just watched the theatrical versions, the regular editions, shall you say. I didn't watch the extended. And people told me to watch the extended, but the idea of sitting for that long, I couldn't cope. So I think I've sort of ruined it for myself. I will watch the extended clips at a later date. I will do that to get the context. But my husband, who had watched all three Lord of the Rings films before, he'd watched them as a child as well, he had watched the extended editions and he said that so much was missed out from not having the extended, to the point where I'm thinking, even though it would have made them longer for me, why even offer two different versions at all? If you're going to take so much out of the film, if a lot of the film isn't going to make sense because you've missed bits out, it's not like filler bits that they miss out from the extended to the regular. They miss vital, important scenes out. And in my opinion, why offer the two showings? Why not just have the extended editions? I mean, the films are already blooming long enough as it is. Why not just have the extended editions as the films? Why offer two different options? Because it made it very, very confusing for me. And again, I will go back and watch the extended scenes that I missed, but I felt that a lot of characters fell quite flat. There were a lot of aspects that I enjoyed. I am a high fantasy girly anyway, so I love the fantasy aspects, of course. I wanted to see more elves, I'm not gonna lie. I love elven culture in most of its forms. And a lot of the elven stuff that I like now, of course, was heavily inspired by Tolkien. A lot of the things I love, heavily inspired by Tolkien. I could see the Elder Scrolls inspiration straight away, comparing the Baldur's Gate lore to the Lord of the Rings lore. You can see it, right? So a lot of the things that I love are inspired directly from Tolkien and his works, and yet I didn't fall in love with these films as much as I thought I would. I didn't gravitate towards any particular character. There were characters I liked. I should say here as well that I have watched the Hobbit films a long, long time ago. I have no inclination to rewatch them, however, but I may in the future, but at the moment I have no inclination to rewatch them. Haven't read the Hobbit books either. Is there one book or more? I'm not sure, but I haven't read that either. I do have the Hobbit upstairs though, the book. So yes, I will read the books, but I wasn't as enamoured with the films as I thought I was going to. Still, I'm giving myself a big pat on the back this month that I actually managed to sit down and watch all three. It's quite an achievement for me, and I'm pretty happy. So with that out of the way, that's all the movies I watched. Can we believe that the movies is the biggest section in one of my wrap-ups? I certainly can't. Let's now move on to TV shows, and I'll try and get through these a little bit quicker. Taskmaster we finished this month, so we watched season 16, 17, 18 and 19 on Netflix. 19 is the only one, the latest one currently available, so we have no Taskmaster to binge at the moment, which is a shame. I would like if they put the old Taskmasters back on Netflix, because I would go back and watch them. Not going to talk about Taskmaster too much because we spoke about it in last month's wrap up, but as I say, I have seen episodes here and there sporadically, but I've never watched it as a season, so this is the first time I've been doing that, and I enjoy Taskmaster. I find it very light, very funny, and when I'm immersed in more heavier things, a little show like Taskmaster is exactly what I need to, keep me light, I suppose. Speaking of something that doesn't keep you light, House of the Dragon Series 3. So at time of recording, I have watched up to episode 6. There are 8 episodes in House of the Dragon. We spoke about episode 1 last month. I've watched episodes 2 to 6 this month. And again, I might leave my thoughts for House of the Dragon to next month when I've watched 7 and 8, because I'm giving you incomplete thoughts if I haven't watched the whole season. Safe to say, I've seen a lot of criticism for House of the Dragon Season 3. I'm personally really, really enjoying it. I absolutely love House of the Dragon, and I have no notes. Honestly, I know there are criticisms out there, and I have read the book, Fire and Blood. There is a lot of elitism going on in the House of the Dragon fandom at the moment, which I don't particularly like. The idea that someone can have an opinion about what they've seen on the screen in the TV show, and their opinion isn't valid because they haven't read Fire and Blood, even though Fire and Blood was written by unreliable narrators. Yeah, I hate the discourse that happens in that fandom online. I really do. We don't need to be elitist. As I've just said with Lord of the Rings, am I less entitled to an opinion because I haven't read the books? No, I don't think I am. Will my opinion change or develop if I read the books? Absolutely it will. But I would never say that someone can't be a True Blood fan if they've only watched the show and they didn't read the Sucky Stackhouse novels or the Southern Vampire Mysteries, because different mediums. They're totally different mediums. So I do not like the elitism that is happening at the moment with House of the Dragon. That's making me very, very sad. People are entitled to watch the TV show without reading Fire and Blood if they want to do that. People are entitled to watch House of the Dragon if they haven't watched Game of Thrones. That's perfectly acceptable as well. Same for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm getting there. So yeah, that's a bit of a rant for me. It's upsetting. I don't like it. I don't like elitism in any form, but particularly when it comes to the media that we consume. The short answer is leave people alone. People are allowed an opinion, and that's it. You can disagree with their opinion, but don't come with, oh, but you haven't read the book. I have. I've read the book. I watched the show. I enjoyed the book. I'm enjoying the show. That's it. That's all there is to it. Do I have my own internal criticisms a little bit for some things? I do, yes, and maybe we'll talk about them next month. But that has nothing really to do with the book to screen adaptation. That has to do with the show itself. So, yeah, very ranty this wrap up, isn't it? But that is honestly how I feel. So overall, I am really enjoying House of the Dragon, and we will talk more about it next month when I've seen episodes 7 and 8. And finally, for TV shows, again on Netflix, I watched the 3-part documentary Depp vs. Heard about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard libel case. I watched the entirety of the case when it was happening, and this documentary was more about the media circus around it, I think, and the dangers of social media. I felt like this documentary was a big PSA on the dangers of social media, essentially, not so much to do with the case or the trial. It was, but I think the trial was a guise to talk about the dangers of social media, to be totally honest. And did it tell me more than I already knew? No. So if you didn't watch the trial, I would maybe watch this one. But if you did watch the trial and the coverage and everything that was going on around it, then I would probably skip this one personally. But yes, I did watch Depp v. Heard. Finally, we're on to books. Again, this is quite a long wrap up for me. I did finish the Hunger Games franchise, so Catching Fire and Mockingjay are both finished. As you know, I was doing a Hunger Games reread in chronological order, so I started with Ballad, then Sunrise, then Hunger Games, Catching Fire and Mockingjay. I have since finished all of the Hunger Games books again, and I was in floods of tears at the end of Mockingjay. They're emotional. I didn't expect to be affected as much as I was, which is why, again, I'm trying to consume some lighter media as well, because I was in floods of tears. It really affected me this time more than any other time. And maybe that's the current state of the world, who knows? The Hunger Games is very relevant, unfortunately, in today's world. I adore the Hunger Games. I cannot wait for November. Sunrise on the Reaping, here we come. And I'm not going to say too much more about the Hunger Games, but you know I absolutely love it. So there's one more book to talk about, one that I'm currently reading, and that is this one, Norse Mythology, The Gods, Goddesses and Heroes Handbook, From Vikings to Valkyries, An Epic Who's Who in Old Norse Mythology, by Kelsey A. Fuller Schaefer, PhD, illustrated by Sarah Richard. Now I'm only, let's see if we can see, there's my bookmark, you can't even see, literally about that much of the way through. So we've got all of this to go. So I'll probably speak more about this in next month's wrap up, but safe to say I am enjoying what I'm reading. It's a very simplified version of Norse mythology, of course, that's what it's supposed to be, and I am enjoying it so far. I do love Norse mythology, the history of the Norsemen in general, not so much Vikings, but the history of the Norsemen, the history of Scandinavia. I do love that. And I think I needed something real and grounded. Not real because it's mythology, but you know what I mean, like I needed something more historically based after watching Vikings. Let's just say that. So I've gone for this. I do have some more Norse books as well, but this is the one, and I just thought the cover was absolutely beautiful. It's a hardback. I am a sucker for a good cover. Feel free to pause that and read if you'd like. I don't know if it's going to be backwards on the camera though. I just thought the illustrations were beautiful, and I will flick to an illustration. Well, here we are. That's about fruit. That's a beautiful illustration there. I appreciate a good illustration in a book, and I think I picked this one up at TK Maxx. So I think my husband picked it up for me actually. I think it was it a Christmas gift last year? No, we got it this year. Anyway, I'm finally reading it. And that's it. That's what I'm currently reading. I do still have plans to read Throne of Glass. I've not read Throne of Glass yet, but I just needed something again, a little bit lighter, so I went for that. And that's everything this month. A huge wrap up. I think my video game wrap up is going to be smaller than this one, which very rarely happens nowadays. This is currently at 24 minutes before I've edited it, so I've got a lot of editing to do. But thank you very much for watching. Your support, as always, means the world to me, and you'll have to let me know what movies, TV shows, and books have you been watching / reading this month. So thank you very much, and as always, I will see you all soon. Bye bye.